How to find happiness within. Have you ever noticed how often we tell ourselves, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I find the right relationship. I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy when life finally slows down. Those words may seem harmless, but they quietly place our happiness somewhere in the future, just beyond our reach. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. We continue climbing one mountain after another, believing that the next achievement will finally bring lasting happiness. Yet when we reach the summit, the feeling often fades, and another mountain appears on the horizon. Why does this happen? Because many of us have spent our lives searching for happiness in places where it was never meant to live. Welcome to Mindful Moments, discovering inner peace and wisdom. Today, I invite you to take a different journey. Not outward into the world, but inward, toward the quiet place where genuine happiness has always been waiting. Imagine a traveler wandering through a vast desert. For days, they search for water beneath the blazing sun. In the distance, shimmering images appear on the horizon. They look like beautiful lakes, sparkling with fresh water. Filled with hope, the traveler walks faster, only to discover that each lake was nothing more than a mirage. Again and again, they chase the illusion, growing more exhausted with every step. Then, nearly ready to give up, they sit beneath the shade of a lonely tree. As they rest, they notice something they had overlooked the entire time. Beneath the tree, hidden beneath the sand, flows a cool underground spring. The water had always been there. They simply never stopped long enough to see it. Our search for happiness often follows the same pattern. We chase success, recognition, approval, possessions, perfection, believing each one will finally satisfy the longing within us. These things can certainly bring moments of joy, and there is nothing wrong with enjoying them. But they are like waves upon the ocean, beautiful, powerful, and constantly changing. If our happiness depends entirely on circumstances that are always changing, then our happiness will rise and fall with every wave. Ancient wisdom has long reminded us of a different truth. The Buddha observed that much of human suffering arises from attachment, the belief that lasting happiness can be found by clinging to temporary experiences. Everything in life changes. The seasons change. Relationships evolve. Our bodies grow older. Success comes and goes. Even our emotions move like clouds across the sky. When we expect temporary things to provide permanent happiness, disappointment naturally follows. But this realization is not meant to make us hopeless. Quite the opposite. It offers freedom. Because if happiness does not depend entirely on the outside world, then perhaps it is something we can cultivate from within. Think about the sun hidden behind thick storm clouds. On a cloudy day, it may seem as though the sun has disappeared completely. Yet we know it is still there, shining above the clouds. The clouds only block our view. Our inner happiness is much the same. Stress, fear, comparison, regret, self-doubt, constant busyness. These become the clouds that cover the light already present within us. The goal is not to create happiness from nothing. The goal is to gently clear away the clouds, one by one. One of the greatest obstacles to happiness is comparison. Today, we are surrounded by carefully edited images of other people's lives. Perfect vacations. Perfect homes. Perfect relationships. Perfect bodies. Perfect success. Yet what we see is only a tiny chapter of someone else's story. Behind every smiling photograph is a human being with worries, disappointments, fears, and challenges we cannot see. Comparison convinces us that everyone else has found happiness while we are somehow falling behind. But happiness is not a competition. It is not a race with winners and losers. It is a deeply personal journey. There is an old story about two gardeners. One gardener spent every day admiring the flowers growing in the neighboring garden. He became jealous because their roses seemed brighter, their trees taller, and their paths more beautiful. So focused was he on someone else's garden that he forgot to water his own. The second gardener chose a different path. Each morning, she quietly tended her flowers. She removed the weeds. She watered the soil. She celebrated every new blossom, no matter how small. Months passed. One garden slowly withered from neglect. The other flourished through consistent care. Our minds are like gardens. Whatever we nourish begins to grow. If we constantly feed comparison, resentment, and self-criticism, those weeds will spread. But if we nurture gratitude, compassion, curiosity, and hope, our inner garden begins to bloom. And with every flower that opens, happiness quietly follows. Perhaps true happiness has never been about finding something missing. Perhaps it has always been about rediscovering what has been within us all along. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore 7 timeless practices that help awaken lasting happiness, practices you can begin today, regardless of your circumstances. Because happiness is not waiting for you at the finish line of life. It begins with the next mindful step you choose to take. Now that we understand happiness is something we cultivate rather than something we chase, let us explore 7 timeless practices that help awaken the joy already living within us. These are not complicated secrets. They do not require wealth, perfect health, or ideal circumstances. Instead, they invite us to return to simple truths that have guided wise men and women for thousands of years. The first practice: accept this moment. Many people postpone happiness because they are constantly resisting the present. We say, "I wish things were different. I should be further along. This isn't how my life was supposed to turn out." Without realizing it, we spend our energy fighting reality instead of living it. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean approving of every difficulty. Acceptance simply means acknowledging where you are before deciding where to go next. Imagine trying to sail a boat while pretending the wind is blowing in a different direction. No matter how hard you struggle, you cannot move forward until you work with the wind that actually exists. Life is much the same. Peace and happiness begin the moment we stop arguing with reality. The second practice: discover joy in ordinary moments. One afternoon, a wise teacher asked his students, "What is the greatest treasure in life?" The students offered many answers. Gold. Knowledge. Power. Success. The teacher smiled and quietly poured everyone a cup of warm tea. He waited as the fragrant steam drifted through the room. Then he asked, "How often have you truly tasted your tea?" The students looked at one another in silence. They realized that while drinking tea every day, they were usually thinking about tomorrow, yesterday, or the next task waiting for them. How many beautiful moments pass unnoticed because our minds are somewhere else? A child's laughter. Rain falling gently against the window. The smell of fresh bread. A gentle breeze. The smile of a stranger. The warmth of sunlight on your hands. Happiness often whispers. But we are usually too busy listening for something louder. The more present we become, the more joy we begin to notice. The third practice: release the need for constant approval. Many of us unknowingly place our happiness into other people's hands. We seek approval, recognition, praise, acceptance. There is nothing wrong with appreciating encouragement. But when our sense of worth depends entirely upon the opinions of others, we become prisoners of expectations we can never fully control. Imagine holding a mirror while walking through a crowd. Every passerby reaches out and adjusts it. Some tell you that you are wonderful. Others criticize you. Some ignore you completely. If your reflection constantly changes according to everyone else's hands, how will you ever know who you truly are? Real happiness grows when we begin looking inward instead of constantly asking the world to define our value. You are enough, not because everyone agrees, but because your worth has never depended on public opinion. The fourth practice, practice compassion toward yourself. There is an old saying. We speak to ourselves more than anyone else. Consider the words you use inside your own mind. Would you speak that way to your closest friend? Many people would never dream of criticizing another person as harshly as they criticize themselves. Every mistake becomes proof that they are not enough. Every setback becomes a reason to doubt themselves. Yet growth has never flourished in the soil of self-hatred. It grows through patience, understanding, gentleness. The Buddha often encouraged compassion, not only for others, but for ourselves as well. You are a human being. You will make mistakes. You will experience disappointment. You will sometimes lose your way. That does not make you a failure. It makes you human. Instead of saying, I failed. Try saying, I learned. Instead of saying, I'll never be enough. Try saying, I am still growing. These small changes in the way we speak to ourselves slowly reshape the landscape of our hearts. The fifth practice, give more than you take. One of life's beautiful paradoxes is this. The more happiness we try to hold for ourselves alone, the more it slips through our fingers. But when we share kindness, encouragement, generosity, and love, happiness often returns to us in unexpected ways. Imagine lighting one candle with another. The first candle loses nothing. Instead, there is simply more light. Every smile, every encouraging word, every act of generosity, every moment of forgiveness. These are lights we place into the world. And somehow, they illuminate our own path as well. Modern research continues to support what ancient wisdom has long taught. Helping others often increases our own sense of meaning, connection, and well-being. The happiest people are rarely those who ask, what can I get today? More often, they quietly ask, what can I give? Perhaps it is your time. Perhaps your attention. Perhaps your patience. Or perhaps simply your presence. Never underestimate the power of being fully present for another human being. Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer is letting someone know they are not alone. As these 5 practices become part of your daily life, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop chasing happiness. Instead, you begin creating it. Not through dramatic changes, but through ordinary moments lived with extraordinary awareness. In the final part of our journey, we'll explore 2 more life-changing practices, experience a simple daily happiness meditation, and discover why the happiest life is often the simplest one. We have already discovered that happiness is not a destination waiting somewhere in the future. It is a way of living, a way of seeing, and a way of responding to the world around us. We have explored 5 timeless practices: accepting the present moment, finding joy in ordinary experiences, releasing the need for constant approval, treating ourselves with compassion, and giving more than we take. Now, let us complete our journey with 2 final practices that can transform the way we experience every day. The 6th practice, live with gratitude instead of expectation. There is an old story about 2 travelers who arrived at the same beautiful valley. The first traveler looked around and said, "Is this all there is?" He noticed the uneven paths, the changing weather, and the small inconveniences. No matter how much beauty surrounded him, his attention remained fixed on what was missing. The second traveler walked through the very same valley. She paused to admire the wildflowers growing between the rocks. She smiled at the birds singing overhead. She took a deep breath and appreciated the cool mountain air. Nothing about the valley had changed. Only the way each traveler chose to see it. Life often works the same way. When we constantly expect life to meet every desire, disappointment becomes our companion. But when we approach each day with gratitude, even ordinary moments become extraordinary. Gratitude is not pretending that life is perfect. It is recognizing that even imperfect days contain gifts worth noticing. Perhaps today your gift is good health. Perhaps it is a conversation with someone you love. Perhaps it is simply another opportunity to begin again. The more we notice what we already have, the less we feel controlled by what we do not. The seventh practice: live with purpose, not just pleasure. Many people confuse pleasure with happiness. Pleasure is enjoyable. A delicious meal. A vacation. Buying something new. Watching your favorite movie. These experiences are wonderful, but they naturally fade. Purpose is different. Purpose gives meaning to our days. Imagine two builders laying bricks beneath the hot sun. Someone asks the first builder, "What are you doing?" He replies, "I'm laying bricks." The second builder is asked the same question. He smiles and says, "I'm building a place where families will gather for generations." Both builders perform the same work. But one sees only the task. The other sees the meaning behind it. Purpose transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary experiences. You do not need to change careers or travel across the world to live with purpose. Purpose can be found in raising children with love, helping a neighbor, creating art, sharing wisdom, planting a tree, writing in a journal, offering encouragement. Every act performed with love becomes meaningful. And meaningful living creates a deeper, more lasting happiness than pleasure alone ever can. A simple daily happiness practice. Before we end, I invite you to spend just a few quiet moments with me. If you are able, sit comfortably. Allow your shoulders to relax. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it gently for a moment. Now breathe out slowly. Again. A slow breath in. And a slow breath out. Notice your breathing without trying to change it. Simply observe. Now, quietly ask yourself, what is one thing I am grateful for today? Allow the answer to appear naturally. It may be someone you love. A lesson you've learned. A peaceful moment. Or simply the gift of being alive. Now ask yourself another question. What small act of kindness can I offer today? Perhaps it is a smile. A phone call. Words of encouragement. Patience with someone who is struggling. Or perhaps the kindness you need to offer is toward yourself. Take one final deep breath. As you exhale, silently repeat these words. I choose gratitude. I choose compassion. I choose joy. I choose happiness from within. Remain here for just a moment. Notice how calm feels. Notice how stillness feels. This quiet space has always existed within you. You simply remembered how to return to it. Final reflection. There is a beautiful saying. The happiest people are not those who have the best of everything. They are those who make the best of everything they have. Think back to the traveler searching through the desert. He believed happiness was hidden somewhere far away. He chased one mirage after another. Only when he became still did he discover the spring flowing quietly beneath his feet. How often do we search the world for something already living inside us? We search for approval. For success. For possessions. For perfect circumstances. Yet the heart continues whispering the same gentle truth. Slow down. Be present. Be grateful. Be kind. Live with purpose. When these become the foundation of your life, happiness is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you carry. Wherever you go. No matter what tomorrow brings. Thank you for sharing this mindful moment with me. If this reflection brought a little more light into your day, I invite you to join our growing community by subscribing to Mindful Moments, Discovering Inner Peace and Wisdom. Each week, we'll continue exploring timeless wisdom, mindfulness, compassion, and practical ways to create a more peaceful and meaningful life. If someone came to your mind while listening, consider sharing this video with them. Sometimes a single message can arrive at exactly the right moment and become the encouragement someone has been waiting for. Until next time. Take a slow, deep breath. Be patient with yourself. Choose gratitude over worry. Choose kindness over judgment. Choose presence over distraction. And remember, happiness is not something you find. It is something you awaken within yourself, one mindful moment at a time. May your heart be peaceful. May your mind be clear. May your life be filled with wisdom, compassion, and quiet joy. Until we meet again, take care, and keep discovering the happiness that has always been within you.